Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast. Hey, today we've got Jason Grubb on. If you guys don't know who Jason is, you've been living under a rock for the past 4 or 5 years. So Jason just got off winning his third consecutive CrossFit Games championship. He has won the Legends CrossFit Championship twice. He's won Wadapalooza this past year. Dude is out there absolutely killing it in the CrossFit game. And not only that, so Jason has 4 kids. And he's also the owner of Jason Grubb Fitness. And Jason, I am super thrilled to have you on, man. We've been trying to do this for a while, but wanted to put it off until after the games. And just super awesome to get you right after you get the W, man. So thanks for being on. And what did we chat about today?
Well, I appreciate it. We talk a bit about some insider secrets on how to make a pull-up bar very sticky, very sticky, grippy. You will not slip off this thing. It involves lots of sugar, lots of water, and some chalk. You got to listen to how to do that and improve your Fran time by making the bar super grippy. 2, we do talk about dragging dead bodies, being fit enough to drag a dead body if necessary. And that is a fun part, really thinking about it. We really spend some time on that. And we talk seriously about some what it takes to maintain momentum when you start developing health and fitness, or start developing the identity of being a person that wants to take care of himself for whatever reason. And if it's for being a healthy dad, being a healthy husband, being a CrossFit Games champ, though that identity shift starts a domino effect in all the areas of your life. It's really cool. We jump into that as well.
Yeah, Jason, man, awesome episode. I think the conversation was great. You guys are going to really get a lot of value from it, and so we'll hop in, and guys, let's dive into the episode. Are you ready to become the dad you know you are meant to be? Good, because this is the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast, where imperfect action is better than perfect ideas, promises kept are more important than promises made, and nothing happens unless you make it happen. My name is Drew, father of 3, and founder of the Epic Dad Company. My mission is to help dads up their game and become the husbands, fathers, and men they're called to be. Thanks for listening. Now let's start the episode.
Yeah.
Cool. So first off, congratulations on the W at the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me about that, man. How this is number 3 for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's number 3. It's third consecutive. When there's been a masters competition, I've won.
There wasn't one in COVID.
During COVID.
Okay.
And so when I qualified for the games in 2018, that was just a bucket list item. Like I was so overwhelmed to finally have qualified for this dream. Like I've been training like crazy for years to try to get there. And I went, and I just didn't want to get 20th place. There were 20 guys.
You might as well show off
something.
Right?
Yeah, I wanted to do something. But these guys I was super intimidated. And I went and I did okay. Like I got 3rd. Technically, I got 4th that year. I didn't stand on the podium, but someone above me tested positive for performance enhancing drugs. So I got bumped up to 3rd place.
Yeah. Okay.
And no, seriously, it was crazy.
Is this person still around?
Yeah.
He could. Up after that.
he was banned for 4 years from the sport.
Oh no shit! Really?
And
that long?
It's that long. And his 4th year expires, so he could be at the games next year. And I would love to just crush him. He would be in my age group where I'm at now. And I'd love to go and just prove, like, just because you're not here, dude, it's not. I mean, I would like to as a man, I want to win a 4th one anyway, but it'd be sweet to do that with him there. I don't have anything against him. Whatever happened. I'm not cool with guys that choose to compete and use performance enhancing drugs or testosterone or anything. It's if guys want to use that to like improve their lives or do whatever they want to, that's fine. But fuck it, not at the games, not in a competitive sense. So one of my good friends is a Olympic lifter, and he is in his early 30s. I think he's 30, but he has done testosterone replacement therapy. And he says online, like, I've done TRT. I'm currently on TRT. It helps my recovery tremendously. I will never compete in this sport.
Is that
because
okay?
Yeah.
TRT is against the rules too?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I actually just had a consultation this morning.
Yep.
I haven't like started it, but you know, you see it everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I went and had my my levels checked because I was like, I don't know, like you know, coming out of COVID, you know, they had like this long COVID theory and stuff, you know. I'm
Yes.
like, dude, I don't know. I just like I haven't felt like I've had the motivation and drive, even though I like still want to go do things. It's like that drive hasn't really been there. And I'm like, hey, is that
Yep.
just an internal like mental thing that I need to get over and like
Right.
start taking more action and consistent action to get wins? Or is that something like really going on?
Yep.
And so I had it checked and my levels are low.
Yep.
And they were like, hey, you qualify for this. And so, yeah, I had the consultation. I haven't started it yet, but that may
Right.
be a determining factor because that's kind of on my bucket list.
You have to think about that. And I was tested when I was 40. I did there's a company, Inside Tracker is the name of the company, and you go get a blood test at your local lab and they send it to them, and they
do the same thing.
Do the same thing. Yeah. So great company. I got the tests, and I was high on certain things that would indicate that I'm a CrossFitter, like creatine. Creatine, creatinine.
It's funny.
It's high.
I have notes from them, and they're like, your whatever levels are amazing. And I was like, what is that? And then she told me, you know, and I was like, why is that? And she's like, well, if you lift heavy, if you work out all the time, if you eat healthy, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
And so that was high. It's because she was like, oh, you CrossFit? I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, that's totally normal. I'm like, okay. And my testosterone was, so there's a normal range, and it was just literally a bar graph. And so I'm in the normal range, but I was on the lower side. And she gave me lots of advice on food that I could eat to increase testosterone.
That's a big factor. Is
food,
you know?
Yeah. So I kind of paid attention at the time. I couldn't tell you what foods she told me because I was very immature in my process. I didn't care what I ate at that. I just turned 40, and I thought that working out would just erase anything and everything that I ate. That's what I thought. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm a strong CrossFit. I'll be fine. And then it wasn't until I was 42 where I started really eating appropriately. And I eat I'm a protein eater. I'm an omnivore. So I eat all the things except for grains. I removed all grains from my diet. And that year, the year when I was 42, I qualified for the games. So going back to the games, qualified, I got third. And the next year I went back. I was lucky enough. It's not easy to go back to the games. The qualification process is insane. I snuck in like 7th. They only took 10 in 2019. I got 7th place in the qualifying spot, and I won. And that felt good. But I always had that feeling like, you know, did I just get lucky, or were the cards just stacked in my favor?
Right. In all sports, it's like to prove it's not a fluke.
Prove it. So I went back in 2021, and I was very confident. But there's the guys I'm competing at, like, I know my competition, and they're brutally challenging. And I went back and I won. I battled the entire time in 2021, and on the last day I pulled way ahead in the last event in particular. Then in 2022 I was even more nervous because now I've been proven, and I didn't want to come back and just and because I'm 1 year older, just die. And so I've got the same group, or a very similar group of guys, and a new guy that's a Russian. He's actually from Belarus, and I know him. Yeah, I was like, U.S. versus Russia right here, and he's just the nicest, sweetest guy. Like, I mean, just a gentle giant, but a legit competitor. And I got beat. I didn't win the first event. I didn't win the second event. You know, I got like a second, then fourth, and I was a little nervous. Then I won 5 events in a row over 3 days. And then it didn't matter. Once I won that 5th event in a row, the last event, the 8th event for the whole competition, I had gathered enough points to win the entire thing.
It
didn't matter.
Not even show up.
And so
that's a good feeling.
At that point, I won a swim event. The event that sealed it was I won an event that included swimming, and that's typically not a huge strength for me, but I won that event. And when I happened to glance at the points on the bus ride back to the games from the swim event, like, I saw that I was 100 points ahead. Like, it was like, I just couldn't believe it. It was just, you know, the internal fire.
I'm interested. What was the swim event?
It was literally the most boring event to watch, but by far the most fun event at the games. So what you have is you've got a length of a pool, a 25 yard across, 25 back.
Okay.
In a 2-minute time frame. It's like this 2 minutes, every 2 minutes this starts. So you swim down and back, hop out, and you do 8 calories on the ski erg, right? Remaining time you rest.
Just any type of stroke, like you could do whatever you want.
Any type of stroke, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, you could swim upside down underwater. You could flip kick, whatever. If you're a swimmer, you can do anything you want. Second round, same 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes you do this. Second round, swim down and back, 10 calories. If you complete that, down and back, 12 calories. If you complete that, down and back, 14 calories, then 16 calories, then 18 calories, which is kind of a hustle. In 2 minutes to swim down and back and get 18 calories, you're kind of pushing it. If you get through that, you've now qualified to the bonus rounds. And almost everyone in my group,
I love CrossFit, the bonus round.
The bonus rounds. And it's literally the tiebreaker. Now you have 2 2-minute time frames to go down and back and AMRAP as many calories as possible on that ski erg. That got interesting. Yeah, I swam down and back. I got out and I just tore that ski erg. I tore it apart. I'm killing myself. 3, 2, 1, and the buzzer goes, it's time to jump in the water. I dive in the water and I have no oxygen. Like there is
drowning immediately.
I cannot. So I literally, oh my God, I've made a huge mistake.
Doggy paddling.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is not fast enough. So I do whatever this stroke is, breaststroke across. Then I get my head in the water, freestyle. I'm gasping for air on every right stroke. That's my breathing arm. And there's literally no air going in my lungs. It felt like I was breathing emptiness, like empty space. All I had to do was just get 10 strokes across, which I did, get out of that pool and just tear that ski erg apart, which I did. And what was fun on the little monitor of the ski erg. So if people at home don't know, this is a ski erg. I have one
I see
in my background, right? It's right there. But on that ski erg, you could see what place you were in. So it's like, I'm in first and another guy's in first. So we're literally racing at the end.
Yeah, it's like a Peloton.
It was so fun. And I sold out. I knew I won because I saw it. When the timer went off, I had the most accumulated calories. And then, finally on the bus ride back, again, saw that score on my phone, sealed the deal. And I mean, the swimming was great. My biggest concern on the swim that no one would ever know was not swimming. It wasn't drowning, anything like that. So I wear these really expensive contact lenses. I've got bad eyes, a degenerative thing with my eyes. So these are like really huge, hard contacts. There's a plunger I have to put them in with. It's bizarre. And they're $1,200 a piece. And if I dive in that water and those goggles come off and my eyes fill with water, if I lose one of these goggles, I can't see, and I just burned $1,200. And so as I dove in the water, every time I'm literally like smashing my goggles on, diving in with my eyes closed, and until I know that
please don't fall out.
Yeah. This is the stuff. I mean, no one knows that that's literally my biggest concern in that entire workout was I don't want to lose a contact. So during the warm-up session, I was just diving in and diving in and diving in, trying to figure out, how do I keep these goggles from tearing off my face? But I successfully jumped in the pool, however many 10 times or how many rounds it was, and had never dove into a pool to swim before in my life. So that was the other thing that's fun about CrossFit or events like this is you have to figure something out on the fly so often.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, how much advance notice do you have, for these events, right? Like you didn't know coming into the games that like, oh, I've got a swim event. No, we assume we're swimming. We assume we're running. So we're all practicing swimming, but we had no idea we're swimming in a pool. We haven't, the games have not swam in a pool in like 12 years, 10 years or something like that. Yeah, it's always been open water. So to swim in a pool, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like the fear factor, like the drowning in ending up at the bottom of a lake, that fear is gone. So now how do you get in and out of a pool efficiently? So we found that out a week, maybe like 4 or 5 days in advance. Okay. So I went with another athlete. We practiced getting in and out of a pool. Like what's the most efficient? Every second
you get out
counts,
of a pool? Every second counts. And there were other events, like one event had parallel bars that you had to traverse with your hands. And we got one traverse on a parallel bar set in the warm-up area. You were allowed one traverse. That's it.
It's like, I hope you've been working on this.
Good luck. Yeah, no one knows what they're doing. The pegboard, right? Yeah. So I'd only climbed a pegboard 2 times ever in existence. And that was when I used to own a gym. I put up a pegboard, I tested it out, and I never ever used it ever again. I didn't trust that I hung it appropriately, so I wasn't sure if it would just fall off the wall, so I never used it. And then there's not a pegboard in the warm-up area. So that's that.
Yeah,
At three,
like,
two,
whatever,
one, go. I guess all in this one event, I was like, my only goal is to not mess up this pegboard. So there's that pressure of like, I've never done this before. I don't know what this is like. When we're doing sled pushes on the turf with a Husafell bag, 200-pound bag in it, you just don't know what is that sled going to move or not.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't move, you have to figure out how to get it to move in these workouts. And I think as men and women, but as men, it's the battle on the field. And that idea of like the unknown is probably one of the most rewarding and stimulating aspects of this level of competition. Like it is, what's the right word? It's guttural. I mean, it's instinctual. It's a deep, like instinctive drive to kill yourself for points in this particular battle. And I mean, Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, he said one time, like, men will die for points, right? Like, think about the sports we play, this stuff, we will die for points. We will sacrifice everything for points. And that makes CrossFit competition really, really, really fun and rewarding, particularly after an event, not necessarily in the middle of it, you know?
Yeah, and I think too, it speaks volumes to kind of the level and type of training that you do on a consistent basis too, right? Because it's going to be varied, right? And so when you look at the traditional bodybuilder, right, they're heading into the gym. They're like, well, today's chest day. I'm doing bench. I'm doing flies. I'm doing, it's the same shit they did the week prior. They're just continuing the same movements, right? But with CrossFit and kind of functional fitness, what's so much fun about it is you're going to be doing stuff, that's going to be constantly challenging for you, right? Like, like I don't, I'm sure you have some events and movements that you're like incredible at, but there's some that you're like, oh shit, I hope I don't see that.
Right.
And so, but you have to be working on it, right? And so you're kind of constantly doing these different things, which is so much fun about it.
Yes. It's, things that really get under your skin that really mess you up are like odd objects, like sandbags. And, trying to figure out, like, there was this red, it's called I think it's pronounced Husafell bag at the CrossFit Games, which is this orange trapezoid looking sandbag. And so we're used to training with these big round sandbags, 150-pound round sandbags. This thing is it was 200 pounds, and it was shaped like the torso of a human, which is, I mentioned. And so it literally, like, going out there and carrying a 200-pound torso, on your back somehow, like running 168 feet across a field with this bag thing. And that, so when you're training to be prepared for whatever comes at you. And you're generally training similar to the bodybuilder, we're training with the same type of equipment day in and day out. I mean, there's barbells, there's pull-up bars, there's rings, there are sandbags, kettlebells, dumbbells. We're using all of those things, trying to combine them in as many variations as possible, so that when we're tested, if they give us a dead human body to drag across a field, we're ready for that.
Yeah, you're like, hopefully I've carried something like that.
I can move a dead body, or whatever it is.
That's the video clip right there. I'm going with the intro.
I can move a dead body. If I could drag a dead body across the field and win the CrossFit Games, I will do it. I will die doing it.
Well, so I mean, you've won 3 times now, which is an incredible accomplishment. And I think, like, on one of my bucket items list too, like right now, is like, I kind of forget how it's structured. They've changed it, right? The actual, the open and things like that. But I would love to make it to like a regionals, if that's a thing anymore. But that's kind of like my list, right? And I've just now hit to where I'm in the Masters. I'm 35, and so I'm like, all right, it's time to up my game now. I'm not competing against like 19-year-olds, because my knees hurt and theirs don't. So so I feel like it levels the playing field a little bit. Not that you wouldn't go up and crush some 22-year-olds, because you absolutely can.
Right, but I'm not gonna.
There's a difference, though.
There's a difference. It's legit. Yeah.
So that's a goal of mine. But I'd love to talk about where you started from. Because I obviously have kind of gotten to know you a little bit in your story. But some people might just look and be like, hey, Jason Grubb, he's just like the fittest dude on earth, and he's always been that way. But that wasn't always the case, though.
No, it was not the case. Far from it. And if you're watching and you need to see what I look like at age 38, head to my Instagram profile. I've got a pinned post, and you'll see the fat version of me at 38. And it's really funny, because I don't have a lot of pictures at 38 or before then, shirtless, because
Yeah,
that's
because you were
just
like,
not
I don't
something I
want
would
to.
do. Yeah. I happened to be on vacation holding a red stripe in Jamaica, and I somehow allowed myself to get a picture taken of me. And I'm not like crazy obese, but I am thick and fat, and I'm on my way. And my biggest fear growing up, honestly, like 13 on, it was that I just didn't want to grow up and end up being fat. I was really afraid of that. It was in my family, it's in my DNA. I just saw that as a future that I didn't know how to maybe get around. I didn't know how to navigate away from that. The only thing I knew was like jogging. So in my 20s and 30s, I would go through these cycles where I would build up some capacity to jog. And I don't say run, because I never ran. I was jogging. I wasn't running 400 splits. I was doing, I'd build up to 4 or 5 miles at like an 8 or 9 minute mile pace, which that's okay. It's not terrible. And I'd go through these cycles. Like I'd feel like I was getting thick, and I would just start running more, because I always thought that I could run faster than the amount of beer and pizza and ice cream and chips that I ate.
Which is like the biggest myth ever.
Biggest myth ever. Yeah, you cannot run your way to weight loss. Although I tried. So anyway, at age 38, I was in a second marriage, and have a 3-month-old. So I have 2 older kids now, 24, 21. And my younger kids are 9 and 5 now. So this is when my 9-year-old was 3 months old. I got invited to a CrossFit gym or CrossFit class. And I wish the story was this. I wish it was truly like I was so overwhelmed by being a new dad. I just wanted to be a really healthy human being for the rest of my life. And I sought out CrossFit, and it just changed my. That's the cute version of the story. That's sort of like the retrospective version of the story, the serendipitous version. The actual version is like my sister-in-law invited me to a CrossFit class because she would get a free month if I joined, or like one of those promotions,
Yeah.
And she's like, Jason, I think you'll really like it. And what it felt like she was inviting me to, it would be the same as if you invited me to like an inner city hip hop class, like hip hop dance class. And that is not something that I'm comfortable with.
Not your vibe.
I would have to be blasted drunk to choose to go dancing into a dance class or something like that. And I just didn't want to go to a CrossFit class, a group class, and be absolutely humiliated, because that's what I would have been. There's no doubt I was going to just go and be humiliated, because I'm fat and I'm out of shape, and I don't know anything about CrossFit. I know you pick up barbells. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So, and I was almost mad about it. So I agreed to do it. And even the day that I was driving to like a 5 o'clock class, I was driving, I was nervous. I was like, I just didn't want to go. I didn't even know where the front door was, because you pull up in front of this warehouse and like, where the fuck do I go? Like, I don't even know how to get in this place,
You got the roll-ups and stuff.
Yeah. So it's in it's like an industrial part of the suburbs of Denver. So anyway, I go in, there's only 3 people in the class, and it was really delightful. I had a nice time. Like, they were super nice. I was a gymnast when I was like in junior high, and I could still kick up to a handstand. So they thought I was a god. No one just walks in and does handstands. So that little ego boost was enough. I actually didn't end up joining that gym because it wasn't quite as convenient for me. So I joined another gym. Like, that was like a Thursday. I joined another gym on Monday, and had another legitimate class. And this one I was nervous. I was in a class of like 20 people, and I was blown away that there were people fatter than me, older than me. Most of the people in the class were all older and of all sizes in the class. Some were really fit, some were not looking as fit, but they all killed me in the workout. Like, it was like power cleans and burpees or something. And I thought I was going to die. And everyone else is just having such a great time doing this, that it like lit a little fire in me. If I ever feel completely inept at something, if I feel like, well, this guy's just a normal freaking human being, why the fuck can't I do that? I'm not even as fat as he is, and he can do this. That kind of frustration lit a fire. I was like, all right, okay, I'll sign me up. Like, whatever your monthly unlimited is, because I'm coming every time, every day, which I did. I came every day for 9 months. I don't think I missed a day for 9 months, except for Sundays, which is not the best way to start. I was gonna say, that's like throwing yourself into the fire right there. Yeah, it's not the best way to start. I hurt myself. Like, I had a rotator cuff injury that flared up again. I like hurt a rib like my third weekend, like pulling a rower like a maniac. But I overcame all that. And within a year, I opened my own gym because I just believed in it. I thought it would be a good business to do. I drank the Kool-Aid and like emptied the rest of the packet into my mouth and went for it. And like you said, when you turned 35, you're like, wow, I'm on a level playing field. I was in this CrossFit thing, not even thinking about competing.
Yeah.
Until I think I was maybe like, I was 39. I started at 38. I was 39, opened my gym. And right around that time, I discovered that there was something, there's a category called the Masters level CrossFit. And at that time, it started at 40. It was like the year after that, it started at 35. But it started at 40. And so when I turned 40, I was like, level playing field.
Yeah,
same
let's
thought.
do it. Yeah.
I'm not competing against Rich Froning and Matt Frazier. I'm competing against 40-year-olds. And that's when I like ate a piece of humble pie straight up at 40, trying to qualify, trying to make it to the next qualifier event after the Open, and not doing nearly as well as I thought. I was the fittest person in my gym that had like 30 members. So I was the fittest guy in there, but definitely nothing compared to the rest of the world. And I tried at 40, I tried at 41. And, we were talking offline beforehand. It was when I actually started eating appropriately and training, like dialing down my training and increasing my food intake to appropriate levels. Like that helped me get there. Like I got there at 42, but took a long time. And going back to the original question, like, no, it was a thick, out of shape, tobacco chewing alcoholic, basically. I don't know if I you call me kind of an alcoholic. If I drink like 4 beers a night, 3 to 4 IPAs. Yeah,
you might not want to admit it,
It was more like, the funny thing is, like, if I drank more than 3, I didn't feel good. So I just sort of had my own internal cap. Every once in a while I'd have 4 on like a crazy night. Crazy. But still, it was a lot of calories, a lot of alcohol. That was who I was. And like, when we start anything new, like CrossFit, or start to pay attention to nutrition, there's like that domino effect where I'm doing these kind of really hard workouts. And then I don't really want to do these really hard workouts, feel like I'm doing something good for myself, and then like blow that by drinking 4 IPAs that night and a pizza. So like it started to create some dominoes in my life to sort of like dial back some things and start changing the way I ate. And eventually 4 or 5 years later, quit chewing tobacco. I'm not a specimen of perfection now. Trust me, but I'm not drinking 4 IPAs a night and eating pizzas like 3 times a week. So we're on the right track. We're on the right track.
I mean, it just goes to show you too that like the pursuit of excellence is going to like in one area is going to bleed over into the rest of life, And so like that saying of like, how you do one thing is how you do everything, And so, I mean, like just doing the small things correctly, right? Like making up your bed in the morning, or not hitting your snooze alarm. Like it may sound like it's something super small, but like that's going to have a bleed over effect to like every area of your life, which sounds like fitness was kind of the catalyst for you. I want to dive into when you were saying at 42, you started really having a big, impetus on nutrition. So like, what did you change?
Yeah.
How did you go about that? And like, what's your diet now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a little bit of a process in, I think it was 2017, leading into 2018, turning 42. I read a book by William Davis called Wheat Belly. And then I read his follow-up book called Undoctored. And Undoctored was a really beefy book. I mean, it's like a medical textbook. And I really became convinced that grain was, for me in particular, probably one of my problems. Okay. I had grain for breakfast, grain for lunch, grain for dinner, or some sort of grain-based anything. So cereal for breakfast. I mean, lunch was a sandwich. I mean, I had protein in some of that stuff, and dinner was always something grain-based with some meat. So I literally just one day I was like, okay, I'll try this. I'll just go grain-free. Let's just try this and get all of my carbohydrates from fruits and starchy vegetables like potatoes or other, they're really just potatoes. And I just went cold turkey because we've developed a pattern that if I decide to do something, I'm like, I'm all in. Like, okay, I'm done with grain. I'm just done with it. And so I ended up spending 18 months in that state of not touching grain, like no rice, no bread, no pizza, no oatmeal, no bagels, no nothing that was grain based, no beer. Like beer left my life. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made that change, and my body fat percentage dropped precipitously. I went from about 16% body fat to under 10% body fat. That was unintended. I had a gym and I had a body fat percentage machine, whatever. And I didn't intend for that. And it actually wasn't until, so that was the summer of 2017. In the spring of 2018, I qualified for the CrossFit Games, undernourished. So while I decreased all my grain intake, I significantly decreased my overall caloric intake.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I qualify for the games. I get lucky. I qualify. Really say I got lucky. The events were in my favor to qualify for the games. Handstand walking. There were just some things that I was really good at. And then I worked with one of my coaches who was a nutritionist, and we tracked what I was eating versus my daily activity, my training, and what I should be taking in. Mm. And I was off by like 800 calories a day. I was in a deficit. So I bumped up all my calories, bumped up a lot of carbs, a lot more carbohydrates, got my proteins the appropriate amount. And it was wild because I mean, it was within a couple, I was full. I was really full for about a week to 10 days. Just like, this is insane. I should not be eating this much food. But my body acclimated to that, and my performance increased like significantly. It was unbelievable what it was like to lift and train with all this fuel in my system, like just unlimited amounts of energy, not energy, but like capacity.
Yep.
So I go to the games, I do well, and I continue this trek of eating well and training and
Are you still doing no grains at this point in time?
So fast forward to now, I substitute. I am no grains except for one supplemental grain, which is white rice.
Okay.
So right now and I'll just give rough numbers, but I'm around 200 grams of protein.
I'm gonna whip out my macro calculator. I want to compare.
Yeah, take it out.
Because I've been so we set up this group for the company called the Epic Dad Legacy Group. It's a coaching group.
Yep.
And I'm not like an expert in nutrition by any means, right? I'm learning this stuff, as we go. But we've got a guy that's helping us get squared away, and so we've got our macro targets. So I'm interested to see like where you're at versus what I've got. So I am going for 3,500 calories a day. Oh yeah, that's way more than I have.
Yes,
that is a lot of food.
So I also, let's preface this, like I weigh 195 pounds.
Okay.
And I'm 5'8", I'm 5'9" in the morning, weigh 195 pounds.
Yeah. And you're training like I train madman. So.
I train a decent amount. I train about 2 hours a day right now. When I'm training for the games, like the 6 to 8 weeks prior to the CrossFit Games, where I'm training 4 to 5 hours a day, I'm eating 4,500 calories a day, or as much food as I can literally handle. So when I'm working towards the games, there's times when I'm like, I'm 600-700 calories under what I should be eating that day at 7 o'clock at night. And that's when Lucky Charms come out of the just bring the Lucky Charms out, and let's just get like whatever calories I can get. So when you're eating 3,000 healthy calories and you need 1,500 more, it doesn't matter. Just get the calories in. So yeah, I'm at 3,500 calories. Okay. I go with 205 grams of protein a day, about 325 to 330 grams of carbohydrates a day, and about 150 grams of fat. Okay. Yeah. The protein is right on. So I think I'm trying to do like 1 gram per pound of body weight. I'm like 215, 210. So trying to hit that. My carbs are way down though. So my target's 120, and I find that to be very restrictive. Yeah. So like today, for example, right? Like this morning I had for breakfast, I had a protein shake and I threw a banana in there because otherwise, it's not as good. So it makes it delicious, So I had a banana that's like, pretty good amount of carbs right there. And then for lunch, I had air fried chicken thighs. So a lot of fat, a lot of protein. And then for a side, I had a little cup of brown rice. Right. And then I didn't know how many carbs it had. I just was like, I'm just gonna eat this if I want to. And then I did the scan thing. Oh no.
I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm like done with carbs today. I was like, I'm gonna have like like turkey meat for dinner tonight, you know? So yeah, it's interesting that, you know, I think we hear a lot of times like carbs are the devil, you know, and
I thought that. I thought that. Yeah. When I thought carbs, even when I switched over to having no grain, I still was consuming decent amounts of fat, and protein was almost on target. But I was dramatically under, and I thought carbs were going to make me fat. I thought calories were going to make me fat. And I found out that, and there's no cookie cutter stamp for every human being. I found out for my body, for my training, around 300, just over 300 grams of carbohydrates, primarily with fruits. Some potatoes, which I actually burn myself out from potatoes, so I don't eat them as much as I would like to. I don't like them that much right now. White rice, which has the nutritional equivalency just a little bit better than like gummy bears. So it's just starch. It's just straight carbs. And healthy fats, like, what am I saying? When I got myself to this level of carbohydrates and calories, I was nervous that I was going to get fat. That was my biggest fear. And a lot of the clients I work with that have that historical feeling of being afraid of being fat, they do worry about that. And our bodies tend to adapt, especially when we're training. And 3,500 calories a day is a lot. And if, again, we know that, like, you can't out train fat. It just doesn't. That's not the key to losing weight. Is not training more. It's not more cardio. Like, I get questions all the time, should I spend an extra hour a day doing cardio? I mean, if you want to, no one loves that.
Burn an extra 150 calories.
Yeah, they're like, that's not even a Snickers bar. It's not even like an RX bar. It's the amount of brown rice that you ate. You can't cure that. You can run a half marathon. You may burn that white rice. The human body is so damn efficient. So with movement, that we control fat with diet, and we control composition. Like, these shoulders don't come from eating. These shoulders come from working, right? The chest comes from working. But I was really afraid of that level of carbohydrates and calories making me fat. I was full, but I've just found that this is the equilibrium for me. And I do encourage, particularly my clients, to experiment a bit. Oftentimes I'm helping them eat enough for their lifestyle. And then if it's, we're not making like abrupt turns. I'm literally thinking about like the Titanic sized ship here. Like, okay, hey, you're feeling you don't have quite enough energy. Let's go ahead and let's bump up your overall caloric intake, and let's see how that feels in like 6 weeks to allow your body to make that turn.
It's not like instant turns either, right? You gotta give yourself enough time to get like real feedback, So no, that's interesting about diet. It's been a big focus of mine here lately of just kind of like, and I'll experiment, right? Like I'll keep the carbs at the level where it's at for a while, and see how I feel. I've been feeling great so far, but we'll see. I might get to where I'm crashing at like 3:00 in the afternoon and like, man, I just really want a bucket of rice or something. So we'll see. But no, it's awesome to hear though, because you have that common misconception of just like, well, I want to lose weight, so let me just go run, right? Which is kind of where you're at the beginning of your journey, and that's just not the case, It's not, and I see people out running. Like when I see someone running on the side of the road, I see them really struggling. I just want to pull over and be like, "This isn't. You don't need to do this. You don't." And I love running. Honestly, I love running. I love seeing runners. You can tell when people love running. So let those guys do that thing. That's fine. If you love running, do it. I love running, so I do that. But if I could see they're running because they probably want to lose weight, and like, man, there's easier ways to do this. And honestly, even going back to what we were talking about earlier with like functional fitness, when you are constantly surprising your body with short, medium, long workouts, light, medium, heavy workouts, giving that body for lack of better words, like a constant state of shock, the body tends to respond much more quickly, much more dramatically than when we do repetitive things like running all the time or biking all the time. I mean, there's a reason that bikers look the way they do, or distance runners look the way they do. They have emaciated bodies, but that serves them in that sport. But there's a reason why sprinters look the way they do. Like sprinters are just balls of muscle because they train, they shock their body constantly. And for me, the best way for me to create a body recomposition for me was eating correctly eventually.
but just doing this constantly very crazy type of fitness where my body is sore all the time. In fact, today I had four sets. Let's see, yeah, 4 sets of 5 heavy back squats, 5 sets of 4. Sorry, and I'm not in season training right now. This is literally my off season from CrossFit. I take like 6 weeks off after the games to let let joints heal, give them a chance to like not be moving a barbell a little bit. So I'm doing some training for a half Ironman that I'll do at the end of September. And so that training is like distance running, distance biking, distance swimming. My brain needs something to do. I can't just not do something. So I have to do something. So I've got this, I just want to complete the Ironman and do decently. So I'm going to train for that. But I am mixing in a little bit of heavy lifting along the way. So that I just maintain that muscle mass and maintain some of that. But I haven't squatted in 2 weeks. So today I was like, I'm actually following a program. I'm following Mayhem Bodybuilding, but it's squat cycle today, 5 sets of 4 at 85%. That shouldn't be a big deal. And I was getting ready for my 5th set. And as I got underneath the bar, like my adductors and hamstrings literally cramped. And I was like, ooh,
yeah,
we're done.
Take this set
done.
off.
Yeah, done. I'm not even, I was going to peel off some weight. And I was like, I'm just not going to finish this set. I'm going to move right on to deadlifts, whatever's next. That's another thing. Like my body was straight up shocked. Like, you haven't done this for a while. What the hell are you doing? And I mean, I love it. And I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be crippled tomorrow with soreness, which I love. And I don't know, tomorrow's a bike day. So, I mean, that's perfect. Like,
yeah,
heavy squats today, long bike ride tomorrow. I'm going to go swim in the Potomac River tonight. Like, there's a swimming event. So I'm going to go do that. So constantly shocking the body, I think, keeps it in that state of like, I'm ready for anything. And I feel like the body is going to retain a little less fat if we want to train to get this body. If that makes sense. Making
so
sense.
Where do you work out at now? I see your setup. Yeah. Like you have a home setup, obviously. Is that typically where you're at?
So I'm currently in an RV, a 45-foot RV. This is the garage portion of a toy hauler, 5th wheel RV.
Okay.
So this is a back window, like literally the back of the RV will open up as if I was going to bring like a 4-wheeler in here. So this back is down. I've got this full glass window here. I'm on a standing desk. I have all my fitness equipment behind me. A lot of it is under the rig right now because we're here just outside of Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Then I head down to Georgia for the triathlon, and then a month in Tennessee just for fun. Then down to Florida chasing the sun. So currently living in an RV full time with the kids, with my wife and 2 kids and 2 dogs. So where do I train? I literally carry this stuff around. I have a pull-up rack that serves as a squat rack as well. That I just carry in the back of the truck. I pulled that out, set it up so it's right outside the window right there, and did that. The barbells are sitting on the deck right now. I'll bring them in case it rains. I don't want them to get wet, but I have 400 pounds of bumper plates underneath the RV right now. I carry them in here where I'm standing when we're traveling, but they're underneath the RV now to keep them dry in case it rains. Dumbbells, kettlebells, medicine ball, this is a skier. I've got a biker. I've got a rower here. Like almost everything. I have everything I need to train for CrossFit except for a high set of rings to do ring muscle ups, a high rope for rope climbs, and an assault bike. I do not have one of those.
Just be glad you don't have one of those. With
I know. And so honestly,
it's the worst exercise.
When I'm in different towns, I'll drop into CrossFit gyms to do some training with those elements, particularly when it's in season. And so I'll stack them up. Like I'll do a bunch of GHD sit-ups because I don't have that either. GHD sit-ups, assault bike, ring muscle ups, and rope climbs. Like I'll just try to launch, and those are all just devastating. It's actually like literally the worst. But training on the road and training in these weird circumstances creates another level of resiliency. Like I have knee pads, like construction knee pads. So if I do walking lunges out on the gravel, I don't break a kneecap. Like literally like 185-pound walking lunges, you have to be ready for that. If I'm doing handstand walking, I have construction gloves to keep my hands from getting bruised by just stepping on that odd rock or something like that. If I do box jumps, I don't have a box, but I jump up on the side of this rig right here. Now, I used to do bench press on a Yeti cooler. Yeah. But like bench pressing over 200 pounds, your shoulder blades rub on the cooler.
Yeah.
And it's not wonderfully comfortable. So I just ordered the cheapest bench that Amazon sells because I need things to be lightweight. So I was really excited to have the bench press available. I didn't do bench today, but I could if I wanted to with an actual bench, which now will serve as my desk seat if I choose not to stand at my desk.
Yeah,
This
nice.
compromises everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Dual
like
purposes.
flying on the space shuttle. Like you can bring this, but you can't bring that. You got to have two uses for this. And
Yeah.
so that's what it's like living.
I,
But I
I
have
like
this
that. I like
little
that.
setup.
I've got so we're in a new house. We moved. Well, I say new. It's about 6 months old, which is fairly new. And so I'm trying to kind of build out the gym. I had a nice one at a previous house that had a basement. Then we moved to a slab, so I got rid of it because that's never room for it. So now I'm kind of having a restart, right? And so, so I've got a barbell and some weights, and it's in this like tiny, like it's not tiny, but it's just like a nasty like cement floor, concrete basement. And I've got one set of 35-pound dumbbells.
Good.
I put in a pull-up bar. So I've got that, and then I have a tough box, like my old Army tough box for a bench and a box. And you'll be amazed like how much stuff you can get done, right?
It is amazing.
Like, there's zero excuses, to being physically fit, I think. And if lack of equipment is your excuse, like just look around. You need bodyweight stuff. You can, jump up onto a trailer. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You're right. And the luxury that you have, like literally you have a cement flat floor. Consider that a win right there. Like I do not have level ground anywhere. Like I did find a patch. There's like this sewer thing with it, but there's a cement, like 3 foot by 2 foot block of cement. And when people lay cement, they normally lay it level. So that was my squat stand today. I literally set the squat rack up above this little piece of cement because it's flat. Normally I have to like I have to dig one of my feet into the gravel and just get a sense of like, okay, I feel like I'm pretty symmetrical here. All right, 350 pounds. I'm going to squat and hopefully
I hope this goes well.
I hope it goes well. I've snatched 185 pounds in like what you would imagine as a campsite, like literally next to the camping, like the grill, like the little fire ring. Like you just find something that's relatively flat and get the work done because that's just what we do. It's literally like an identity shift when you decide to start doing this. I'm the kind of person that I am going to train every day, except for like Sundays, in some capacity. And you're right, like 35-pound dumbbells, you can just do so much with 35-pound dumbbells.
Oh yeah,
so much.
No, so the one that I like to do, and it's terrible. I think and you did it, was I think it was 20.2 maybe or something like that. And it is the snatches and then burpee box jump overs, where you do 10 and then 20, then 30, then 40. So I'll try to do that like once a week or so, and just like smoke the shit out of my body.
Dude, it's terrible.
But yeah,
I can't imagine. That's like the worst workout you could choose to do on a weekly basis. It's like it's in my top 5 most painful workouts of all time.
Terrible. It's terrible.
I've done it enough times where I'm just like, I could be okay. I've suffered some tough things, but I'd be okay never doing that workout again.
What is what's your Fran time? What's your best Fran time?
Best Fran time is 2:14.
Jesus Christ. Super quick.
I'm fast on pull-ups. I'm fast on pull-ups. I'm not the fastest on thrusters, but on a pull-up bar, I can cycle really fast. It's just
you're done with the workout by the time I'm like getting to the first set.
There's tricks. There's tricks to this. Like, so one, I'm good at those things. I'm good at all of those things. Those are, it's a light barbell and pull-ups are crazy. I never get to do pull-ups. It's always chest to bar muscle up. So pull-ups are just kind of fun. But one, I do wear grips. So I wear grips to keep both my hands like healthy, and I don't want to tear my hands. And if you get grips and you put them really tight on your hand and you slap that grip over the bar and you just let like the bar literally pinch the grip right in the meaty part of your hand right there, you can hang on for days and days and days. It's literally like there's that. There's the other trick is like, how slippery is your pull-up bar? If your pull-up bar is slippery at all, if there's any slipperiness whatsoever with your grips slipping, we can resolve that. Because I could do pull-ups all day on a bar that I'm not slipping on. As long as I can hold on, I could do it forever. I can do 50 pull-ups in a row.
Yeah.
So another fun like pro tip is to get a bar to make it really grippy. So mix a bunch of sugar, as much sugar in a little cup of water as you can, and get that on your hands, get that on your bar, really good. Get some chalk and rub that chalk in. That chalk and sugar water mixture was something we did in gymnastics in like 8th grade. Like if someone would come with no grips and they would use like your high bar that you're doing like these acrobatic things on, it would take all the chalk off the bar. So you have to re-chalk the bar with sugar water and chalk to make the bar grippy. It's not just magic. When you're doing like big things on that high bar, it's not magic that you hang on. The grip is key. And so we do the same thing in CrossFit. Make that bar super grippy so that you can hang on really well for big sets. And then just don't be a wimp. Just do the work.
Yeah.
Tip number 3, number 3, like die for points.
Just be
That's
good.
it. Yeah, be willing to die.
So I want to talk. I mean, you're training 6 days a week, right? And I mean, I've seen some of your workouts, pretty intense stuff, right? And I would imagine there are days, and it may happen, weekly, where you're like, shit, man, I don't want to work out,
Yeah.
So like, where does that discipline come from? And what's the driver for you?
I think that there's a couple of drivers. Like one driver is that I don't have a choice. I just do the work. Like it's kind of like this drive. Like I don't want to work every day. Like in my business, I don't want to work every day, but I don't want to fall behind. And so I think that's one of my bigger drivers. Is like I check my email every day so that I don't end up with just all a ton of emails. So I'm just going to get in there. I'm going to do the work so that I'm done with it. And I think that's a driver. I'm just the kind of person who does the work every day. The identity shift for me, like a games athlete trains every day or trains on it every day he's supposed to train. We train. And it's rarely do I feel like it. If I didn't have any stress and I didn't have anything else pulling my time apart, like work or my boys or like life, I feel like training would be nice. I just wake up and like, okay, I think like 10 a.m. maybe I'll get to training. Like that would be really awesome if that was life. Instead, today it was 1 o'clock. Okay, I gotta start training because I've got this call, or I've got a podcast at 2:30. I've got to start training now. I didn't get to start training till 1:15, and I asked you if I could bump by 15 minutes, and you were like totally cool. It's that where you're just like you're pulled apart.
Yeah.
But I wanted to train today. But on the other side, there are days when I literally am just like, I am sore. I don't feel like it. It's cold out. My garage is cold. The cement corner that you get your pull-up bar, you get all your stuff in, it just doesn't look attractive. But if I found that if I just start warming up, literally just start warming up, put the podcast in my ear, because I normally listen to podcasts or an audiobook, just start warming up, my body starts to catch up with my brain. Or vice versa. Maybe I just start moving my body, my brain starts to engage, like, okay, we can do this. And all I got to do is get through the first chunk of my training. And my training might have 4 or 5 different parts. If I just get the first chunk going, all right, now we've got some momentum. 1 is down. That was the hard part. Now we've got this and this and this, and we're done. No big deal.
Yeah.
Which is normally like I'm deceiving myself because you're like, I only have this and this and this and this. And that's like 3 hours of work. But that's okay.
Just getting started,
Just getting started. And because I'm a master's athlete, my knees hurt sometimes. My back hurts more than my knees. So getting that proper warm up also makes my body feel so much better. And when my body feels good, I feel good. There's a stress relief, a relief of like the tension. And then the last reason I do this stuff every damn day is because I'm competitive and I want to win. And those other guys are doing it every day too. So there is that motivating factor. Like they are not going to slow down. Yeah. So I'm nervous right now. I'm nervous.
One thing I wanted to pull out of that, and you mentioned it very, very briefly. You just said, I'm a CrossFit Games athlete, and that's what they do. And so I saw some story you posted on it. It may have been a while ago now, where you were talking about you used to chew tobacco. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing here, but you had said, hey, I'm at the games now, and this is not what a games athlete does. So I just put it away. And so I think it's like, you can shift that in your mind too, right? To identify as something and then say, what would that type of person do? Because that's the type of person that I want to become. Right.
Yes.
So I think that was huge, just to see, like, because I struggled with dipping for a long time, played baseball in the
Yeah.
Army, all that
Yep.
stuff. But it's really like literally changing your mind about who you identify as,
Yes.
or at least having someone or something to look up to.
Yeah.
And ask yourself the question, right? If you're getting up to train in the morning and you don't feel like it, and say, okay, well, shit, Jason's working out today. I know he is for a
Yep.
fact, right? And
Yep.
so,
Bet on it.
yeah, so it's kind of just changing that identity.
Yeah, and that's how I do it. I mean, that's how I quit chewing tobacco. That's how I moderate what I eat. That's how I sometimes choose to have ice cream with my boys, and oftentimes choose not to have ice cream with my boys, but enjoy watching them have ice cream. There's a lot of micro decisions that happen every day that follow that identity. I'm the kind of man who doesn't eat everything I want to. In fact, on the other side of that, I'm the kind of man who chooses to eat enough food to feed my life. Like that, eating food for me is actually harder than not eating. I could go all day without eating. Like, I tend to be focused. If I'm working, I'm working. I'm training. I could go all day without eating, but I actually have to choose to eat. I'm the kind of person who wakes up and I have 8 eggs and some rice for breakfast. This is what I do every day. The kind of person that has a healthy lunch to fuel my training in the afternoon. And after my training, I'm the kind of guy that eats a pound of meat at night to catch up on all the protein that I was supposed to eat at lunch that didn't, so it's literally my trend right now. But no, it was literally that I just realized one day, man, a CrossFit Games athlete doesn't chew tobacco. Huh. Okay. It didn't make it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't chew tobacco. I threw it away, and like my body craved it. Yes, I wanted it. And that first week was once an hour, I had to tell myself, like, a games athlete does not chew tobacco. And then the cravings started to calm down, started to go away, but I had to really pay attention to that. A games athlete, or, I'm the type of person that tries to get 8 hours of sleep every night because I like to feel good every day. And when I get less than 8 hours of sleep, or less than 8 hours in bed, I feel like garbage. It's a constant dialogue for the thousands of decisions we have every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally makes sense. I want to ask, just kind of, since you turned 38, you've been kind of on this journey, right? Three CrossFit Games championships. I know you won Wadapalooza a couple times. And so obviously we talked about discipline. How has that discipline helped you become a different type of father? From when you were 38 to where you are now?
Yeah. So when I was 38, I was very much coasting on autopilot, like in my business and my work, even with kids. I was just a bit of an autopilot, right? Or went through the motions. Just kind of floated through my day. And after 38, becoming more disciplined in my life, becoming an athlete, becoming someone where this is all my work. My work is pretty all-consuming. I tend to find myself much more intentional about whatever I'm doing. So I'm intentional about my work. I'm intentional about my training. So when I'm training, I'm training. When I'm working, I'm working. When I'm with my boys, I'm with my boys. And that has been a big deal, where my older kids, I think I was a good father for them too, but I wasn't as focused when I was with them. I wasn't they didn't have my full attention when I was with them. Where these boys, my life is busier now than it was with my first batch of kids. Let's use that language. But so my life is a little more stacked. I'm a little busier. I'm a little less balanced. Like, I work and train more than I just worked before. So that pulls on my time, which means that when I do spend time with those kids, it is concentrated. Like, you got me, boys. Like, if we're going to the pool, I'm gonna get in there and we're going to war. This is what I don't know. That's what we do. If we get in the pool, we go to war. And last week we were in Ohio for 2 weeks, and there was a lake there that had a trampoline in the middle of the lake and a slide in the lake. So me and the boys would go out there, and in the middle of the week during the school season, there's no one else there. So it's just us. We own this place. And I mean, it was like their whole existence was to try to get me off this trampoline that's like floating, it's raised. And they'd come at me, and I just throw them as hard as I can out into the lake. They've got life vests on. Thank God, because I mean, when you throw children, they land in some precarious positions as they enter the water. It's not planned. And I'm trying not to hurt them, but at the same time,
Yeah, you're
a
not
little
going to
bit,
win.
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I'm not good, but they got me. I'm gonna swear. They at one point I was throwing my small one, and my big one got me, knocked me off balance, got me in the water, and like legitimately attacked. I'm like, they got me. But it's things like that. Or the other day, since we're in DC, I rode my bike, part of my fitness, down to the National Mall. I'd never been there, so I got to see the Capitol, the Washington Monument, all that stuff. Rode my bike down there. That was about 20 miles. And then I went for a 6-mile run. And then they met me down there. And I changed clothes really quick because I was just drenched. And we took a walk around the mall. They rode their bikes, and we got to just sort of just check this stuff out. So the long answer, all that to say that I live an imbalanced life. I work a lot. I train a lot, which puts me at 8 to 10 hours a day doing those types of things. The time I am with my kids is very concentrated. It's eye to eye, it's physical. And I mean, there's times also in the middle of the day where, like, they'll pop in, like I'll be in the middle of work and I'll be like, Dad, can you do this? And 9 times out of 10, it's no, buddy, I'm working on this. One time out of 10, it's like, yeah, let's do this. Like let's just do that. Like, because I can do that. I do work on my own. I don't have a lot of commitments. But I think that's made me a better dad. Having a busier life, having a more intentional life makes me more intentional about the time I'm with them, right?
Yeah, I think that word, like intentionality, right, is huge. And like we always hear the phrase work-life balance, and I'm of the opinion that does not exist.
Right.
That's one of the biggest myths that's out there, but you can be intentional with your time. And that's the biggest thing that we hear as a company is just, that's the biggest challenge is how do I balance time? And hey, I'm not there for my kids, and when I am there, I'm distracted. And it's all about intentionality. It's like, you may be super busy, right? But when you're working, work. And then when you're with your kids, be with your kids.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Well, so what's on the docket next for you though? Like competition, you said you got a triathlon type thing coming up.
Yeah.
Do you have any more competitions coming up?
Well, the half Ironman is at the end of September.
Okay.
Then I won the Legends Masters Championship, which is the largest Masters dedicated competition in the world. Won it last year in San Diego. This year it's in Tennessee in December. So I accepted my auto invite, and I'm going to go win that. I
crush it.
I really like winning. I prefer winning. And that's a fun mid-season. None of us are training for that competition. It's kind of in the middle of, like, we're training for next year, but we get to do this competition together. Then I'll go out to Wadapalooza in January, because doing a competition in Miami in the sun in January doesn't suck.
Is that in Miami every year?
It is. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a great. It's really fun. It's a huge fitness festival, and Masters are just a part of it. Where the December competition, it's all Masters, so we're just dedicated. It's amazing. We've got the live stream is great. Everything is great. Wadapalooza, the Masters, we're just part of this huge fitness festival, but I still really enjoy it. I've had a great time every time I've gone. And then all of a sudden it'll be February, which is the CrossFit Open, quarterfinals in March, semifinals in April or May, and then the games next August. It all tends to move really, really fast. So basically we'll blink and we'll be having another podcast episode. We'll be having this conversation.
Yeah, win number 4.
Four-time champion. How do you do it? I was like, I don't know. I just work really hard, It's
a lot of rice and eggs,
A lot of rice and eggs, a lot of protein. It's 3,500 calories a day. You got to hit it every day.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on here. I've been wanting to get you on for a long time, and obviously we got to make sure the timing is right, in training season and things like that. And to get you coming off the W is awesome. So
it was great. Thank you.
Jason, where can guys find you? I mean, obviously Instagram, which I'll link to, but I know your company, and it's Jason Grubb Fitness. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell guys what you have going on there, and if they're interested, they can dive in a little bit.
Yeah, you can find me at jasongrubb.com. That's 2 B's, 1 word. And on there, you'll find fitness programs and nutrition programs for primarily men. I do have some female clients, but most of the dudes I work with are men. It just tends to be that's who I've attracted, and that's who I end up working with. Normally around that 38-year-old to 50-year-old age group where we're just looking to become a better version of ourselves, whether we're beginners or we're already doing this fitness thing and we want to increase our capacity in that. So I've got a lot of programs where you work one-on-one with me. It's just me right now. I am the company. So you can go to jasongrubb.com. On that homepage, you'll see lots of recommendations depending on where you're starting. And I've got a ton of free videos on YouTube talking about nutrition, fitness, all the strategies. I try to give every secret away that I can on YouTube for free.
You gave away the sugar and, on the bar thing. I mean, that's going to be money for my pull-ups.
I mean, the sugar on the bar pull-ups. The funny story about that. I was training at a gym a week before the CrossFit Games, and Brent Fikowski. So he has been one of the top CrossFit athletes for years in the elite category. And I've always looked up to this guy. Anyone in the elite category, I'm still starstruck when I see these guys. They're famous to me. And he sees me and he walks. He's like, "Hey, you're Jason, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, Brent. Hi." And he's like, "Yeah, I watched one of your videos on the grips. I really like your sugar on the barbell tip. That's a really good tip." And I was like, "Dude, yeah, it is, isn't it?" He's like, "Yes." It's like, I don't know why everybody doesn't do that. I'm like, they just haven't found it yet. As soon as they find that video, the whole sugar industry is going to explode in CrossFit. I should sell the product. It's just sugar water.
Yeah. CrossFit sugar.
CrossFit sugar water. So lots of things on YouTube, lots of free videos. I really enjoy creating that content and sharing. I found it to be really rewarding and pretty helpful. I think a lot of guys find it helpful. So that's fun tue. Jason Grubb, just find me on YouTube. It's simple. Type my name.
For sure. Well, yeah, guys, I'll link up, everything Jason's got, so you guys can go find him and give him a like and a follow and go watch some videos and get some tips. And if you guys are interested in his program, I highly suggest, checking it out. So, Jason, man, we will have to stay connected for sure. Because I'm down in Georgia. So, 2 weeks when you're down this way, who knows, man, we can go eat some carbs together.
That sounds good. After the triathlon, I can eat whatever I want that next day.
That's right. So Jason, man, I appreciate it. And guys, we will see you on the next episode.